So this video, so let's try to find the centroids of our given L2 here. So in the previous video, nasolve natin ang arc length, which is 3.27 units. So regarding from the first video, if you're dealing with quartic, so balik kita na, if you're dealing with quartic equation and you're trying to shift solve it calculator, so may magwa na nga this one. So may magwa na nga solve for x, diba, or x question mark. So what you're gonna do is, if para dasig na lang ta na mag-solve, just simply input a value which is possible nga rapid dito sa inasagap mo. For example, just sa drawing natin kina, so we're looking here for the point of intersection, which is approximately here. So since wala pa man kang sabat, manan mo nga ang y is supposedly negative 1 something, and assumption lang dyan, or it could be 2 more than or less than 2. So what you're gonna do is input, since we're dealing with y here, with y nga ginasagap natin is y kasi, so y rin ang ginasagap natin, so it could be from 0 up to 1, 2, or 3. So pili mo na gamitan niya, it's 0, negative 1, or negative 2. Just simply input that in calculator and it will give you this answer, this negative 1.365. Now going back for the centroids, for the centroid we have this formulas as well as conditions. So balik kita na sa figure, sa equation. So in our first equation kaina, ang gingamit natin is dx over dy, this one. So for the centroid we have that condition. So if you're using dx over dy, since solving for the x centroid, you will get arc length times the x centroid is equal to the integral of ds with limits y1 to y2, since we're having dy here in the denominator, times x. So kung anong centroid nga sagap mo, the multiplier would also be the same variable. But here, since we have limits of y1 and y2, baliskad sanda, what we're gonna do here is painan natin si y. Therefore, si x should be in terms of y. Where hindi natin nabulan, rito sa equation kang parabola, rito natin ibalikan. So, and for the y centroid, since we're dealing with y here, diretso na lang, we have s y centroid is equal to the integral of ds times the multiplier y with limits y1 up to y2. The only difference here is manotice nyo karon, this one, next one. If we're dealing with dy over dx ang denominator natin, for xc, you will get arc length times xc is equal to the integral of ds with limit x1, x2 times the multiplier of x. You notice it? Makita nyo, if nag-aayon ikaw sa denominator, you'll only add the same variable. But if, for example, again, for y centroid, since we're dealing with dx, your y centroid times the arc length is equal to the integral of ds times with limits x1 up to x2 times the multiplier y. If you notice, this one is nag-opposite mismo sa denominator, which is nag-opposite man sa limits. Therefore, this y should be in terms of x. So to further maintindihan nyo ra, so let's take the example natin kaya na. Okay, so from our previous video, we know that our formula is s is the integral of, with y1 up to y2 with limits y1 up to y2, 1 plus dx over dy quantity squared dy, and we already have the arc length, which is 3.27 units. So to solve for the centroid of that, your yc, so bisanta si yc, s dya, this is arc length, syc is the integral y1 up to y2 ds y. So since we're dealing with yc here with limits y, this one is already the formula. You don't have to put anything here or in terms of something, since we're dealing with dy. Therefore your y should be y. So yc, sa ilong ko dyang arc length sa piyak, you'll get your y1 here is negative 3, I think, negative 3 up to negative 1.365 square root of 1 plus negative 2 times y plus 3 quantity squared dy all over arc length So your arc length is also equal to this arc length is also equal to 3.27. So just simply input it in calculator. Your YC therefore is may Y ka pag dito. Ang Y is outside ka radical. This Y here is outside the radical. Thank you. So it will give you a Y centroid which is -2, flat -2. So balik kita sa drawing ta. So that means that is somewhere here lang. At Y is -2. So wala pa kita kamahan ka X. So solving for X bar or X bar for XC, SXC is the integral from y1 up to y2 square root of 1 plus dx over dy times x. Okay. So here, kung ma-notice nyo, our limits is from y1 up to y2 and our denominator here is dy. Therefore, for solving for xc, this x should be in terms of y. Diyan tabulan si y from the equation of parabola. So, ridya natin. Solve natin sa x ridya. Kasi kay naka-y kita ridya. Okay. So, solving for x here, we'll get transpose a negative sign is equal to x minus 5. And sa ilong ko lang si 5 sa piyak, we'll get negative times y plus 3 quantity squared plus 5 is equal to x. So, therefore, substitute natin ridya. Your xc is the integral from -3 up to -1.365. The square root of 1 plus -2, I think. -2 times y plus 3 quantity squared. Your x, therefore, gamitan natin ito kinaang insulat natin. Okay. So, which is negative y plus 3 quantity squared plus 5 dy. So, in terms of y na tanan, all over our arc length, which is 3.27. And input that in your calculator, you will get xc is, therefore, xc is 3.81388. Or in short, that is approximately 3.814. So, therefore, your centroid is at 3.814 and -2. So that is your centroid. Thank you. Surface area, follow up.